Question 45 of Prima Secunda. We get into the fourth to last question of the Treatise on the Passions, question 45, which is about daring. And this is the beginning of Thomas's treatment on daring. He's going to have a couple questions about daring, and then he's going to get into anger, and that will end the irascible passions of the human soul. And there are 4 articles in this question. And when you think of daring, you think of this kind of stuff where people do things that are risky or seem sometimes even foolish. But why exactly does somebody do it? What's appealing about it? That's what we're going to find out in these articles. So the first one says whether daring is contrary to fear. Now, we learned previously that the object of fear is an evil. It's an evil that you run away from, as opposed to despair, which runs toward, despair runs away from a good, hope runs towards a good, and fear runs away from an evil. So the opposite now, daring is going to be running towards an evil. Now, why would anybody run towards an evil, right? Okay, it is of the essence of contraries to be farthest removed from one another, as stated in Metaphysics by Aristotle. Now, that which is farthest removed from fear is daring, since fear turns away from the future hurt on account of its victory over him that fears. Okay, so you run away from a hurt in order to get away from it, right? Whereas daring turns on threatened danger because of its own victory over that same danger. Consequently, it is evident that daring is contrary to fear. So why do we watch scary movies? Why do we go into haunted houses? Why do we jump out of airplanes? Why do people wrestle alligators or, hunt venomous snakes or do what these kids are doing? Well, they're running towards an evil. They want to conquer it. They want to have mastery over it. All right, Article 2, whether daring ensues from hope. And I love this because he's going to talk about 4 different passions and how they're all related to each other. He says all these passions belong to the appetitive power. Now, every movement of the appetitive power is reducible to one either of pursuit or avoidance. Okay, you're either running towards it or away from it. Again, pursuit or avoidance is of something either by reason of itself or by reason of something else. By reason of itself, good is the object of pursuit and evil the object of avoidance. Okay, that makes sense. But by reason of something else, evil can be the object of pursuit, though some good is attached to it, and good can be the object of avoidance through some evil attached to it. All right, so he's setting this up. Now, that which is by reason of something else follows that which is by reason of itself. Consequently, pursuit of evil follows pursuit of good, and avoidance of good follows avoidance of evil. Now, these 4 things belong to 4 passions, since pursuit of good belongs to hope, avoidance of evil to fear. The pursuit of the fearful evil belongs to daring, and the avoidance of good to despair. Okay, that's all review. We've already talked about all these things. It follows, therefore, that daring results from hope, since it is the hope of overcoming the threatening object of fear that one attacks it boldly. But despair results from fear, since the reason why a man despairs is because he fears the difficulty attached to the good he should hope for. All right, so it's interesting how they all tie together so nicely. All right, Article 3, whether some defect is the cause of daring. He says, daring results from hope and is contrary to fear, wherefore, whatever is naturally apt to cause hope or banish fear is a cause of daring. Since, however, fear and hope, and also daring, being passions, consist of a movement of the appetite, and in certain bodily transmutations, a thing may be considered as the cause of daring in 2 ways, whether by raising hope or by banishing fear. In one way, the part of the appetitive movement, in another way, on the part of the bodily transmutation. Okay, so first of all, he's got 2 paragraphs here. One is about the appetitive movement, which follows apprehension. Hope that leads to daring is roused by those things that make us reckon victory as possible. Such things regard either our own power as bodily strength, experience of dangers, abundance of wealth, and the like, or they regard the powers of others, such as having a great number of friends or any other means of help. So he's saying that there's something that we have that makes us daring because it gives us hope that we have the power to do it, or we have friends, or things like that. On the part of the bodily transmutation, now this is very interesting because he gets into biology here, but he's primarily relying on Aristotle. He says, caused through the incitement of hope and the banishment of fear by those things which raise the temperature about the heart. Wherefore Aristotle says that those whose heart is small in size are more daring. Okay, I don't know if that's true or not. While animals whose heart is large are timid, because the natural heat is unable to give the same degree of temperature to a large as to a small heart. Again, I can't vouch for any of this biology. This is from Aristotle, 400 years before Christ was born. Just as fire does not heat a large house as well as it does a small house. He also says that those whose lungs contain much blood are more daring through the heat in the heart that results therefrom. He says also in the same passage that lovers of wine are more daring on account of the heat of the wine. Okay, we've already talked about that. I think that's true, that people who drink a lot do tend to be very daring and sometimes to the point of foolishness. Article 4, whether the brave are more eager at first than in the midst of danger. Daring being a movement of the sensitive appetite follows an apprehension of the sensitive faculty, but the sensitive faculty cannot make comparisons, nor can it inquire into circumstances. Its judgments are instantaneous. Now it happens sometimes that it is impossible for a man to take note in an instant of all the difficulties of a certain situations. Hence there arises a movement of daring to face the danger, so that when he comes to experience the danger, he feels the difficulty to be greater than he expected, and then he gives way. Okay, so initially it's like, yeah, let's do this, but then when he thinks about it, it's like, I don't think so. On the other hand, reason discusses all the difficulties of a situation. Consequently, men of fortitude who face dangers according to the judgment of reason at first seem slack, because they face the danger not from passion, but with due deliberation. Yet, when they are in the midst of the danger, they experience nothing unforeseen, but sometimes the difficulty turns to be less than they anticipated, wherefore they are more persevering. Moreover, it may be because they face the danger on account of the good of virtue, which is the abiding object of their will, however great the danger may prove, whereas men of daring face the danger on account of a mere thought, giving rise to hope and banishing fear, as stated above. Okay, so this would be maybe like the martyrs, who deliberate that they're going to die, that they're going to get put to death, somebody like Father Miguel Pro, and they're like, okay, that's all right, because they have hope. And hope, even a passion of hope can produce daring, but certainly the theological virtue of hope can. All right, that's the first question on daring, question 45, and thank you for watching. Hope to see you tomorrow. God bless you.